Today I'm working on a 2002 Honda CRV. I did a previous video on this for the P0420 catalyst efficiency below threshold code, and the video was really kind of vague and I didn't go into a lot of detail, and now the customer is back again with the same code, and this time I just wanted to give a little history behind this vehicle. Like I said, it's got 174 miles. Mileage is kind of high. The customer wasn't having any problems with the check engine light prior to us replacing the exhaust system. The only reason the exhaust was actually replaced is because, you know, the flange on the catalytic converter was rusty. It wasn't leaking at the cat yet, but the muffler was leaking, so we ended up putting a whole exhaust system on it, the cat, and all the way back to the muffler. And then you know, a few days later he came back with a cat efficiency code. It was an aftermarket catalytic converter, so you know, my assumption is probably it's just poor quality aftermarket converter. But I wanted to go in further depth with the diagnostic. You know, we're going to look at fuel trim values. We're going to look at the downstream oxygen sensor activity along with the air fuel sensor. In this one, it has a La Bamba sensor, we call it, rather than an O2 sensor that monitors the air fuel ratio before the cat. And then the one after the cat, only purpose of the one after the cat is to monitor whether or not the catalytic converter is working. So the one after the cat in this is a regular O2 sensor. The one before the cat is an air fuel sensor, so it does function differently. The computer actually recognizes air fuel differences in amperage change in the sensor versus the voltage change you would find in an O2 sensor. So let's go. Last time I used a G-Scan. This time I have the factory Honda software hooked up to it, and as you can see, we have a P0420 catalyst system efficiency below threshold. That is a permanent DCC, and we also have a pending P0420 catalyst system efficiency below threshold. And I'm gonna go ahead and let's just check out freeze frame data here so we know when exactly this is going on. Okay, so let's see. Engine speed 2100, 57 miles an hour. Alright, so he's normal cruising speed, under load. Engine was up to temperature 181 degrees, about 60 degrees outside probably. Here we got our fuel trim values. Let's see, fuel trim, short-term fuel trim 1.07, which seems like is in pretty good fuel control. And then we got long-term fuel trim here. And it looks like we're in pretty good fuel control there. So I would suspect this is not a fuel control issue, but we're going to go in and look at the live data and verify that. Fuel systems, closed loop. Looks like the downstream oxygen sensor at the time was at 0.18 volts, very lean. Good battery voltage, injector pulse. Okay, so I mean, everything looks pretty normal here. Fuel trim values look normal. We know what happened at cruising speed, which is usually when the cat is, you know, doing the most work because you're under a heavy load and, you know, you're cruising along. So let me get our O2 sensor data and our fuel trim data, our live data pulled up here, and we'll go into that a little bit. Also, as you can see in this freeze frame data, if you look at this milliamp value, 2.63 milliamps, that is for the upstream oxygen sensor. And then if you look down here at sensor 2, which is a regular O2 sensor, you're going to see that as a normal voltage reading versus, you see we got the milliamp reading, and then for the downstream we got a volt reading. So that's the difference in the two here. Okay, and there we have it, guys. You can see the blue line is our downstream O2 sensor. You want to see, on a good catalytic converter, you typically want to see that a nice steady line. But as you can see, you know, it's pretty much all over the place. It's fluctuating. I mean, it's fluctuating between about 0 volts and, you know, 0.7 volts. So, I mean, it's definitely seen a big increase in a air-fuel ratio there. I'm just gonna bring the RPMs up here a little bit. And our red line there is our air-fuel sensor. So, and that's reading in amps, still milliamps. So you can see the front air fuel sensor and the downstream O2 sensor almost mirror each other, which is definitely an indication of a bad catalytic converter. The green line and the purple line are our fuel trim values, and I mean they're staying right where they're supposed to be. So it seems like this Honda CRV is in good fuel control. So I wouldn't really suspect that this is a fuel control issue. And the line on the top I didn't really mean to pick. That's just a O2 sensor heater. This thing's definitely up to temperature here. So I feel comfortable saying for sure that this aftermarket catalytic converter is no good, and it's probably just poor quality, poor manufacturing. So we're gonna go ahead and get this converter warrantied out for the customer, and then I'll just I'll recheck this sensor data. But one of the main things I wanted to check is to make sure the air fuel sensor was responding properly. And it certainly seems like it is, because when I, after accelerating, when I let off, you can see it dips lean. And the downstream O2 sensor follows it. Which I mean, it will a little on a snap throttle like that. But this is definitely excessive. And it's no wonder that this is setting a light. If anybody has any more information they'd like to add to this video, I'd love to hear what you think, or maybe any useful tips you can add in the comments there. But once again, thanks for watching. Hit the thumbs up and subscribe. Thanks. Flat Rate Mechanic.